Hi everyone, I'm going to be introducing our next and new superhero tip to get you excited about our upcoming C5 Summer Institute event. We're going to be discussing this tip that fits within our second C5 component, which is rigorous skill development. If I were to ask you, what is the best predictor of academic success? What would your answer be? You might say a great teacher, or intelligence, or maybe even a supportive home environment. And while those things are absolutely contributors to academic success, actually, they are not the best predictors of success, at least not according to our experience or the research. So, what is one of the strongest predictors of academic success for students? Grit. Angela Duckworth, a prominent figure in the educational arena and New York Times bestseller on the subject, defines grit as sticking with things over the very long term until you master them. As an educator, you can probably imagine why grit is an important indicator of success. After all, the ability to stick with things in the long term is something that all of our students need in order to attain and maintain not just academic success, but true success in life in general. Grit is not one of those character traits that we hear a lot about, but it is integral to success. We tend to think of character development as something to be done exclusively in the home. However, I can attest to the truth that schools can be just as equally equipped to help students develop grit in very practical ways. Now, before we discuss some of the practical ways to help students develop grit, I want to identify what we like to call the arch nemesis of this character trait, or something that we might need to look out for that might get in the way of developing grit. In this case, our arch nemesis is low self-esteem. In order for a student to develop grit, there needs to be an internal belief and feeling that they can do it, whatever it may be. There has to be a feeling of capability or a high esteem of one's own abilities. Poor self-perception and experiences that reinforce that feeling of I'm not good enough will impede on grit every single time. So how do we counter this? How do we, as educators, help students to develop grit? Here are some practical ways. Number 1, make exposure to literature and content around grit and resilience building a regular part of your academic curriculum. Number 2, identify instances when you see students demonstrating grit in their work, relationships, or in other things. Number 3, help students to see obstacles as opportunities to learn or to do something different, rather than giving up. Number 4, expose your students to assignments and exercises that may be just outside of their reach or experience, something to evoke enough difficulty that it feels like a challenge, but not so far that it makes them feel overwhelmed. Now, I'm positive that you're probably already doing these things. I hope this tip just gives you the encouragement you need to know that it makes a difference and to be intentional with your students. Your students will thank you. On behalf of myself and Collaborative Learning Solutions, thank you for tuning in. Be on the lookout for some more information and tips leading up to our exciting C5 Summer Institute event.